All right, well, a new flaw was just discovered in software called OpenSSL, and that could have allowed hackers to attack and access usernames, passwords, other information that are stored on computers and mobile devices. Joining me this morning to explain what all of this means is Steve Pate from High Trust in Mountain View. And Steve, first of all, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about this software, OpenSSL. What does it do?
So OpenSSL is a piece of software that's used in about 66% of websites out there today. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of computers on the internet.
Yeah.
And what it's used is every time we communicate online and you see that little padlock in your browser, it's using OpenSSL to encrypt and protect the information that goes over the internet between the two computers.
So it's a protection device, basically.
It's protection software, basically, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so it was hacked into, which now means what? That millions of people have their information compromised?
Well, potentially, yes. So every time we go online, so whether we're shopping online, instant messaging, using email, or just using popular sites like Facebook, Pinterest, or Google, OpenSSL is protecting that information as it goes over the wire. But what this bug does, and it's been there for about 2 years, is it allows hackers to see into the memory of those computers on the internet. So that means it has access potentially to any information, credit card information, healthcare, any sort of personal information. And the worst thing about the bug is that it leaves no trace. So it's been there for 2 years. We have no idea whether it's been exploited. We have no idea whether it's been massively exploited.
What should consumers do now that this story has hit worldwide and made worldwide attention? What is it that consumers can do to protect themselves?
Actually, pretty much the same thing that they should have always been doing. Be vigilant. Check your credit card statement, check your bank statements. So anytime you're shopping online, make sure that there are no false records in there. If there are, inform the vendors as soon as possible. But the most important thing, and this is something people should do immediately, is every site they use online, change the password.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. Even though the websites are, all the vendors are coming out saying we've applied patches, we've added, the extra level of security, we've fixed the issue. If somebody was exploiting the bug, they still could have access to your username, to your password. So change them and change them out.
We seem to be hearing about instances like this where hackers have accessed potentially millions of people's personal information. This seems to be coming up more and more often. Why is that?
It does, and I think that's partly due to the fact that there are sort of good standards in place now. We have data breach notification laws in pretty much all the states across the country. So if there is a breach, the organizations need to publicly announce to let people know.
So as a protection company, this hits very close to home for you, have you noticed the hackers getting more sophisticated?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a very hard bug. There have been other bugs announced since, very sophisticated style of hacks. We've seen many examples over the last several years. So, the security mechanisms are getting better and better, but the hackers are getting more and more sophisticated.
This almost seems like a very serious game of tennis where the hackers hit the ball over the net. You have to come up with new protection devices to hit the ball back to them, and it just keeps going back and forth. That's
absolutely true. And for a lot of organizations, security usually comes later.
Yes.
If it comes at all. We've seen lots of vulnerabilities for a long time. And we need to put a lot more practices into place. Vendors who are shipping software, shipping systems, shipping routers for use at home, they need to make sure that those devices are safe before they reach the market.
Well, it seems like also what's been happening here as well is that there's been an increase since so much information has moved to the cloud.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And we're seeing, even just the popular websites, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, there's a lot of information moving to the cloud. It's very easy. It's very cheap. So it's very obvious people are going to take advantage of that. And a lot of the companies that are providing these services are doing a great job, to secure their systems. But because of the mass amount of information that's out there and potentially accessible, it's just a wonderful opportunity for hackers to try and get in there and steal information.
Is it possible to give our viewers a snapshot of what the average hacker looks like?
We have no idea. It could be the teenager sitting at home in some country around the world.
I mean, that's the stereotype that we come up with, is somebody sitting in a room somewhere, but it's more sophisticated than that, isn't it?
It could be, yes. I mean, the typical teenager, unlikely. It's, to exploit some of these flaws, takes a lot of skill. So we're talking about pretty well-educated people.
Yeah.
So college-level educated, computer scientists. But, the equipment you need to get into these systems is just a PC in your room at home.
That's amazing. And also very scary. Steve Pate, thank you so much from Mountain View's High Trust. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. We need
Excellent.
it. All right, we'll be right back.